Fuerteventura. This is Tenerife, and we're coming into this anchorage here. I think they call this Punta del Antiquaria, and it looks very sheltered. There is a boat anchorage already, but we've had winds about 22 knots. We've been sailing at about between 5 and 6 knots, so it's been a really, really good sail. Very fast sail. We were able to see the lights of Gran Canaria to our port early this morning. Just coming into Gran Canaria, just at the back of these hills, the volcanoes, is the main harbour of Las Palmas, and the city of Las Palmas, which is actually the capital of all the Canary Islands. Yeah, I left Gran Canaria yesterday about midday. It was very busy getting everything ready. I ordered some extra water containers, 20 litre containers to carry on board. I also got some extra water, made sure I had plenty of food on board. So obviously preparing the boat ready to go. I got up early yesterday morning to make sure I got the boat ready as well. But it's not just about getting the boat ready, it's a psychological thing as well, setting yourself up ready for another big journey from Gran Canaria down to the Cabo Verde Islands. Weather's not quite what I expected. I normally look on windy.com, and it said it was going to be more or less northerly winds all the way, and every so often the wind drops off and then I've got to do a bit of motoring, you know. But it's about an 8-day sail. It's around 800 miles from Gran Canaria. Las Palmas is quite a good place for getting equipment and bits and bobs, and I got my self-steering Aries wind vane re-welded, and I had a special pole made, so it's quite good going there. When I had that accident in Lanzarote, somebody ran into the back of me on a speedboat. It was a bit windy and they bashed the Aries thing, and they broke the aluminium weld on the support brackets. These things sometimes happen. I mean, when I was labouring myself, it was a very, very tight space in between the two boats, and the one boat had a bowsprit that was sticking way out, and back at my stern got the wind was blowing, and my stern got pushed over, and my handrail, one of the stanchions, just touched the side of the bowsprit. It didn't cause any damage, you know, and hardly any damage on mine. Just it sounded worse than it was, you know. And the lady, there was a couple, a Ukrainian couple actually, that owned the boat, and she was, you could see she wasn't very happy, you know, but there was no damage. I checked it and I came back round again to check. Everything seemed okay. I found the sea mesmerising like this, you know. It's just, I found it just fascinating. Just looking at the waves, small waves. First today of June, a great day. Winds increased last night by 23 knots. Had to reduce sail before it got dark. Just got the Genoa out on the spinnaker pole to starboard. I reduced it before it got dark. 22nd of June. I left on the 17th, about just over 300 miles to go. I'm going to head to Mandela on the island of Seobinte. There's proper facilities there. I'll just have a look at the sounds Now I've had very strong winds this last few days, strongest, you know, up to 23, 24 knots, consistent, powerful, you know. It took me back to when I crossed the Atlantic with my girlfriend Rosie in 2007. We crossed over in the hurricane season. This is technically the hurricane season. But I'm not going to the Caribbean. Cabo Verde. Now the thing is, we had these very, very strong easterly winds. We couldn't make it to Cabo Verde because it was so strong, you know. I mean, you know, like this, consistently, we were virtually poling. I've just got, you know, I'm quite small, and I'm still doing 5-6 knots. It's unbelievable, the strength, you know. I mean, this is all part of the gyre system, and the power of this consistent wind all the time, you know, which is coming from the north. Yeah, when I'm down below, the boat down below is really quiet, and it's not until I come and pop my head out and think, oh, it's quite windy out here. I thought the wind had dropped, you know. But I had to go up on deck. I haven't got my main, so I had to sort of strap it down a bit because it was starting to blow off the lazy jack arrangement. It's quite a grey leaden day today. It has been this last couple of days, you know. The best place to be is in my bunk, laying flat with my lee cloth up. When I'm around the cooker area, and it's difficult to cook really anything, you know, decent. I've got to put my harness on and strap myself to the cooker, you know. Otherwise, you can go flying. That's the only thing in a small boat like this. You know, you've got to be so careful down below. Otherwise, you can fall and hurt yourself, and the people have done in the past. Serious injury. So that's the secret, is always make sure you've got one hand for the boat and one hand for yourself. But having a harness on around the deck area or going forward, going clipped on, because the boat can lurch, you can be over the side just quick as a flash, and that's it, end of story. If I go in here, that's me finished. So I've got to make sure I'm always safe and secure when I'm on the boat. Especially being a solo sailor, you know. I think of safety all the time. Just take your time, whatever you do, think about what you're going to do before you do it. And I always make sure I don't have too much sail at night for safety. Again, I don't want too much sail. The winds might pick up, I'll sleep down in the bunk, and the boat gets out of control away. I have to be in control of the boat. About 300 miles to Cabo Verde now. I've been doing really well. Got the engine on, just ticking over, just to charge up the batteries. That's all I've got up, like a handkerchief. But I remember that time when I crossed the Atlantic, for so many days we were virtually bare poling it. With these, like this now, but easterly, there were the easterly winds. These are still northerly winds sweeping us down to the Cabo Verde. But it's a different time of year, you know, this is June as opposed to November. So if you went small boat sailing this time of year, you know, you've got to get your timings right. Get everything as much in your favour as possible. You know? So I'm now crossing over to Brazil. This is like the Northern Hemisphere, June, July, probably be July before I cross over to Brazil, Northern Brazil. And then I'll cross from probably below Rio to South Africa, probably about the end of November. So coming into the summertime when I reach Cape Town, it'll be June, the summer hemisphere. It's the 22nd of June, about 300 miles to run to the Cape Verde. Strong winds to 24 knots, very consistent, hardly any sail up, getting along nicely, sleeping well. It's amazing, seen no ships whatsoever since I left Gran Canaria. Got all this space to myself, amazing. If you really want solitude, buy yourself a boat and go solo sailing across oceans. You get plenty, lots of reading. I'm reading a book at the moment, it's called Solar. It's like, I've got nothing else to read, so I just keep reading and thinking, well, it's not too bad of a book. But I need to top up with some books. I normally find them in the marinas, you know. Grey day again, leaden sky. Yeah, amazing these winds, just consistent winds all the time. Occasionally I get a breaking wave come onto the stern of the boat. Look, those white caps. That's a big one coming now, look. Hey, look at that. Look at that there. I wouldn't like to be going into the wind there. Stella Polaris is like a little cork, just pops up and she's very stable. Once I go down below, it's dead quiet. I mean, I always have the saloon doors not closed, but it's very quiet down below, and I could be, you know, when I'm sleeping, other than when the boat is hit by a wave, then I realise, oh, I'm sailing, you know. To strip yourself into the cooker, because otherwise you get a jolt and you can go flying and really hit. So I think I probably mentioned this before. I went on the deck this morning to do something and made sure I was all my arms on, the lifeline all clipped off. I'll be ever so careful. Of June, 200 miles from the Cabo Verde Islands. It's funny, last night I woke about 4 o'clock and I came to the chart table. Fortunately, I had a look at the AIS system and I saw a ship and I looked at it. I thought, oh yeah, it's quite close now. It's the first ship I've seen in several hundred miles. So I went on the AIS and checked the speed and how close it was going to come to me. And it was going to be quite close, about 14. It said 14 metres, which is very close. So I didn't have the engine on, sailing, and I took off the auto helm and I thought, well, I think I'll go to. It was crossing me from my right to left, showing its red. And thought, oh no, I know it's just huge course, which it did. So I went off course. It was okay with the Genoa. The Genoa started flapping across. Absolutely, the wind was set, it's all settled from the Anyway, I got past it okay, and I thought, well, this system I've got there is fantastic. Well, I mean, I could have been sleeping, you know, I'm not nervous about it, but I did think in the back of my mind, heading towards Cabo Verde, there's a good chance of shipping, and I'm sure it was heading to Deco in Senegal. There's quite a big harbour there. I actually worked there a few years ago when I worked for a German company called Lindy, their heavy truck division. Matter of fact, to Tidwell in South Wales, and it was, all the machines were for container, moving containers around on ports. They'd had a problem with the booms. They wanted a couple of welders to travel right around the world, which is what I did. So that was my first project. Dubai ports in Senegal, Dakar, and that's where I think that ship was heading. I found 3 small, these are flying fish. You can tell by those wings really, only tiny ones. There's 3 on the deck. What they do is they're chased by predators, and so they fly out of the water. I haven't seen any flying actually since on this particular trip. But when I crossed the Atlantic to the Caribbean a few years ago, I saw massive shoals of them, and they were bigger. They were a lot bigger than this. These are quite tiny, but they're amazing, really, aren't they? Look. Those, like the ones I saw crossing the Atlantic, the wings were more like gossamer, you know. I mean, nature's a fantastic thing, isn't it, really? So you can't see it. That's it, they're like gossamer, the wings. Ooh, the wind's dropped a bit this morning, it's around about 14 knots. Still sailing along quite nicely. I did pull the Genoa slightly out, made it a bit bigger. It was, but the wind's up to 20 odd knots. So should be there 2 days. My birthday's on the 26th. That'll be nice. Hopefully I'll be there and I'll be able to treat myself if I can find a little restaurant bar in Mondello. I'd like to talk about the Garmin InReach Mini 2. It's a really fantastic little piece of equipment, a device linked to the Iridium satellite system. You can send text messages, and you can actually have preset messages, or you can actually, you know, text them properly, and it's linked to your iPhone, and it's great, especially for a solo sailor, letting people at home know your various contacts that you can have on the InReach Mini 2. And it's nice because you're getting communication. Okay, they're fairly short messages. I mean, you obviously have longer messages, obviously they take time to type in, but the beauty about them is you've got contact on a daily basis. Talking about the Garmin InReach Mini 2, it's fantastic, piece of kit, which I mentioned is connected to the Iridium satellite system. That's the best, get full worldwide coverage. What's nice about it, certainly for a solo sailor, it's something to look forward to. You send a message or a text message, you can have a preset message, or you can actually do a more personalised message, fairly short and brief. It's just nice that you look forward to getting a reply. It means you've got some contact, which, you know, it's just nice just to say to your family and friends you have as contacts on the system that everything's good and everything's well, and also the nice thing about it's linked to the Garmin Explorer, which is the map part, and it shows you exactly where you are, gives you the longitude and latitude, and actually shows you where you are on the map itself. So for me, amazing. Being a ocean sailor with the modern technology is wonderful. Like the AIS system, the ship identification system, especially at night, it's always hard to judge distances. Yes, you can see which way the ship's going from the mast lights and the red and the green, but it's always quite difficult to judge distances. At least with the AIS system, you can tell exactly how close it's going to be. I mean, as I said earlier, I had to alter course. So these little things just make that difference for safety. But the Garmin InReach Mini 2, fantastic. I would recommend anybody that's involved in ocean sailing. morning from the North Atlantic. I'm 83 miles from the northern or northwestern islands. I'm going into Seo Vinte. It's sort of the main harbour for Mindelo. So altogether you've got 10 islands, about 300 miles west of Cape Verde, which is Dakar, the bit that sticks out the most in West Africa. And let's see, we've got the what they call the Windward Islands, which is Santiago, Anteo, Seo Vicente, Santa Lucia and San Nicolao, Sal and Boavista, and then we've got what we call the Leeward Islands, which is Rava, Fogo, Santiago, Mayo. Now they are volcanic islands. The one that's the most active, who has been the most active, is Fogo, and that's actually the tallest. It's about just over 2,500 meters high. The thing is with the Cabo Verde, they're actually where Portuguese, or a Portuguese colony. I think they were discovered around about 14, I don't know, something like about 1450 or 60 or something like that. And they were colonised mainly with slaves. The Portuguese were really big. They were the main people on the slave trade, and so they used to bring them in from West Africa to the Cabo Verde Islands, and then ship them across, obviously to Brazil. Now I will be heading towards Brazil, so I'll talk about Brazil on my next video. The thing is, I think they're pretty poor islands. I know they've been trying to do something with tourism, but the Portuguese themselves, under Prince Henry the Navigator, they went right round Africa into the Indian Ocean, India, and they went as far as China. I think they even went as far as Japan. They had a special types of ships called cavals with lateen rigged, shallow bottomed, ideally suited for going against the winds. And how they found Brazil, it was to do with the Pope and his thing with the Spanish 60 degrees, I think it was 60 degrees latitude. Anything on to the west of that was the part of the Spanish Main. The Cabo Verdes, going back to talk about them, yeah, they do have the rainy season, which is now starting now to November, but they're very dry islands, and they have had in the past famines, you know. So I have been actually to Mindelo once before, when I did a cruise around South America with Fred Olsen, and we docked in Mindelo. We've got a really nice beach not far from the what I call a harbour. That's not a harbour wall, I would call it probably. So as I say, I've got about 80 odd miles to run to Seo Vicente, and I'll do a bit of filming once I arrive there. But I've had a really good passage since I left Gran Canaria. I've had the winds with me all the time, running downwind. Fantastic. This is the most western island of the archipelago, the Cape Verde archipelago. This is the island of Seo. The wind's picked up, it's about 22 knots. I'm heading into Mindelo on the island of Seo Vicente. This is Seo Vicente here, which is quite close to the to San Antio, and I'm coming round into there is a marina here actually, a small marina, and there's an anchorage as well. I'll try and get into the marina. It's a bit early at the moment. I'm not sure what local time is. I think it's 7 o'clock. I could be wrong because I've been heading out further west. But I think it's over here. I can see a light here, and it tucks in, and I think it'd probably be pretty sheltered there once you get inside. Just make my way in slowly. I was waiting. I came in slowly under just the sail, under the jib, and I turned the engine on just a little wee while ago, and I wound the genoa in, and thought I'd just motor in. Well, I've got a feeling I'm tucked in here. I can see a light. Yeah, it's been a fantastic sail all the way from Gran Canaria to the Cape Verde Islands. I mean, I had the motor on a little while at the beginning, but I've been able to sail all the way, just steady, you know. It's been good. Very pleased. It's just ahead of me here. I've got to come over to the port or to my left. There's a little island I have to go between. You can see the island just ahead. Now it's up well in there. Got an onshore wind here. It's quite exciting coming here. There's these rollers coming in. Good job I've got a good little boat like Stella Polaris. But once I get inside the harbour, I have to tuck round the corner to the left here. That's where it's going to be pretty sheltered. It's just that this onshore wind, it's blowing the seas in. Wind speeds up to about 22 knots. That's making it quite lively, you know. Some ships at anchor here, and yeah, I'm going round to the left here to the port side.